Hey, welcome everybody. It's funny because here I am. I've got these guys off the screen, and I'm watching the Innkeeper react to his Taylor Lautner abs, and he can't say anything or do anything about it. But you should be flattered. I mean, I guess we'll just go ahead and dive right into it. Let me bring in my special guests, the Innkeeper and Recappa Sedai.
I was flattered. That was very flattering.
I mean,
you've
look,
never
guys,
been that nice to me. So
you come here for the Wheel of Time talk. Little did you know you would get to see the first public shirtless picture of the Innkeeper.
I was jealous. I wish I had sent a more impressive picture.
That's season 2. That's season 2 Innkeeper. That's what I'm bringing. Bran Alvear has he's inspired me. So
yeah, well, Bran Alvear did cut a lot of weight. You know,
be on the lookout.
The keto diet was doing him well.
Yeah,
we had a preemptive wig. So
I was gonna say, is the wig going on?
Yeah, we're about to have the wig on because here we go. So
yeah,
somebody went in before we even started.
It looks great already.
It's beautiful.
You're gorgeous.
It's a beautiful wig.
Yeah,
it's not that pretty. That's all I'm saying.
Whoa.
You have you know what? I think you can show me up with your purple whatever wig you have, right?
I mean, I could, but that would take a lot.
I mean, well, okay. We have much to get to today. First of all, thanks for both of you for coming on. Now, your name Innkeeper. Some people might know you by Matt Hatch. Most of these people probably have no clue who you are. So, can you tell them who you are, what you do?
Sure.
I know you're new to the fandom here, so.
My name is Matt Hatch, and I am the Innkeeper of the Dusty Wheel and the host of the official after show for the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime, which is really cool. So
it's extremely cool.
It is.
Which, well, I'll throw this up later too, but might as well do it now.
Yes.
Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So for those of you who need translations for Eastern time, at 1 o'clock, right?
That's right, 1 o'clock Eastern.
1 o'clock Eastern, you can tune in to the official Wheel of Time after show hosted by Mr. Innkeeper here.
That's right.
And he has some awesome guests. It's a good time. We'll throw that up again later, but make sure that you all tune into that.
Yeah, come join us. I'll be in live chat. It's fun. It's fun to hang out and chat about it. So
because it's already recorded, but you get to like premiere it live and you get to be a part of the chat, which is fun.
Yeah. It's totally different. It's a much less stressful experience.
It's already done.
Well, and Recappa Sedai, who the hell are you?
Who the hell am I? I'm Recappa Sedai. I host Wheel Talk on YouTube, and I co-host Tarvalin After Dark with Nae'Blis and Jess, which is a podcast you should be listening to. And yeah, I do a YouTube channel and a podcast, and I am at Recappa Sedai on social media, and we have a lot of fun. Wheel Talk's a lot of fun. You should be watching it. If you're not watching it, I don't know what to tell you. I have nothing to say to you. Yeah. But also watch the show. It's really fun. We have fun.
So
thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Like Brian is my co-host, and or Recappa, who's awesome. So
Brian / Recappa, it's all good.
Anyways, thanks for coming on. We do have a lot to get to. I want to do today. I want to react to episode 5. I mean, we can always talk about other things in the other episodes, but there's just so much that has. There's so much to talk about. And we were talking about this a little bit because we record our podcast yesterday. So for those of you that look forward to shameless Tarvalin After Dark plugs, that'll come later. But we were talking about how these last 2 episodes have been, I would say, the furthest from the books. Is that fair to say? But yet, I would say the reaction. Would you agree with that or no?
5? I don't know. I mean, well, again, yes and no, right? Like they're. I mean, you look at that Matt and Rand piece with Logain. You know, you look at Loyal. You look at Matt's illness coming in. You look at meeting in a city where they're all coming back together. It's obviously not Camelin. So yeah, but then obviously there's this whole Steppen piece, right? And so of course, so it's very different. Although there's a lot of kind of, you have Perrin and Egwene and the White Cloaks, and you have Wolf. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I don't know that 4 felt much more so that, but maybe that's what it is. Just a mix of the two. It's some new, some old. You know, some similar. So.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to address this before we keep going, just so I can say the spoilers. Guys, we will try our best to keep this mostly show spoiler only.
Okay.
Now, I will not guarantee that. So, like, if you're like, oh God, I don't want anything from the books, maybe don't watch. But like, we're gonna try. But what I will say, and sorry, Brian, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. I mean, how dare you? But yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, how dare you? Go ahead. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
Oh, just that we talked to, I mean, I mentioned this on the podcast yesterday, but I think it's fair to say that this took us further away from the book plots. Episode 5, like, took us further from the plot, but in a lot of ways, it brought us closer to the world that we know from the books. All the examples Matt brought up, also actually getting to see male channeling. So I don't feel like, I didn't think of it as an episode that took me further away from the books, even though, of course, the story is diverging.
So I just said we weren't going to do book spoilers, but I'm going to do one book spoiler. I want to talk about it, but it's a very early book spoiler. So you're really not. This is just one of the changes that they've made. I want to talk about, because I think there's been a very vocal small minority of people who are upset with the show. Let's put it that way. I would say on the whole, most people are actually very excited about it. Like the numbers behind the show statistically are that people love it. You know, so it's doing very well. It's attracting new viewers. All of the people I know that are watching the show that are not book readers love it. Like every single one. So it has accomplished a lot. And I would say the vast majority of readers, at least in my interpretation of that, are pretty happy with it. That being said, there is a group of people who aren't. I've said this a couple times. I can empathize with one group of those people, right? Like if your first words out of your mouth are woke garbage, okay, I don't have time for that. Like that's I'm just not interested in getting into that discussion. But if it's, you know, us three, we followed the change, like we followed the development of this show from like day one. Like Matt would run 17,000 hour live streams on a pair of boots or something, like a pair of boots.
It's true.
Like that's the level of coverage that we've had. So like, the majority of these changes, like we all knew coming into this that they were not going to be going to Camelin. We knew they were kind of skipping Camelin, going to Tarval. Right. For somebody who did not benefit from following every boot picture that was released, right? These are, I can empathize a small amount because these changes hit you hard if you're a book reader. And if you don't understand why they were made, you tend to think that they're just arbitrarily throwing stuff out because they want to, right? And then you pile that on with, we spent, I would say 60% of this episode following a character who isn't even in the books, right? Or in any meaningful level. So to a small degree, I can empathize with people that can understand that. So let me throw this question out to you with all of my preface there. And we'll start with you, Brian. Mm-hmm. Why do you think they did change from going to Camelin and go to Tarvalin instead?
Because it's faster. Period. It's, look, I also think this is a whole other debate, but I think that the events of Camelin, people talk about this thing that needs to happen with Elida's prophecy and Rand falling into the garden and meeting the Camelin folk. He doesn't. And I think the show is proving that he doesn't need to do that. And we can introduce those characters later. I think they skipped it because we don't need it until later. I don't think we need Elida till later. I don't think we need Elaine till later. And I appreciate that they are consolidating because they have to. We have such a long series. They have to. So I would be disappointed if they weren't making those choices to consolidate. Mm-hmm. Going off of that, it does surprise me that we spent so long with Steppen in this episode based on that same idea. That I'm appreciating the consolidation, and I think they're doing a good job with it. I was surprised by episode 5. I liked it. I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What about you, Matt?
So, look, here's the deal. Robert Jordan made a Lord of the Rings clone, right, in book 1. Like he said in interviews that like, oh, that was like the first couple chapters. But we've all read The Eye of the World. They went on a little bit longer than the first couple chapters. So it seems to me clear, like they had a couple of points came to their mind, which was, we don't want to try to go hire all the actors and such for Camelin. That's not going to come to play, and we can't kind of retain them. So people meet there, but honestly, other than Rand dropping in, they go to an inn and then they leave. Like it's not like major core things happening. And so I think as soon as they made the decision of like, hey, let's not do Camelin, and they were like, hey, let's not just do Lord of the Rings 2. Let's focus on, what's an interesting storyline that's not focused on in the books that would be really compelling. Logain. Yeah, we don't see much about him. He's compelling. From a book reader perspective, I won't spoil anything, but he's compelling, right? So it's like, we're going to skip Camelin, we're going to focus on Logain, and we don't want this to look like a Lord of the Rings clone.
Right.
I don't know. Like, then you get what we get. You know what I mean? Like, to me, those are like some dominant rationale for what we're seeing, which is not trying to show this beat for beat like the books. To me, avoids some of that kind of feeling like I've seen this story all before. So that's how I'd explain it. But.
Well, and so here's the question I would have, and I'm being devil's advocate here. I'm just being the host. I get to be the innkeeper for the minute.
That's right.
What is to say they could not do what they're doing in Camelin? Like, why go to Tar Valon instead of Camelin? Like, what is the advantage of doing one big city over another big city?
I mean, yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I was just going to point out, again, I brought this up yesterday on our pod. I would trade episode 5 for all of Rand and Matt hopping from city to city or town to town to town. I already think, just that question of like, what is to be gained? So much, because we're not wasting time establishing the world through waiting from city to city to city. We're establishing the world. Everything makes clear. It makes more sense as we go. But getting to Tar Valon faster, we might as well establish it sooner. We have so far to go. And I loved them with the statues of the Forsaken. Once we get to this location, we can actually introduce things that are going to be really important. And I think they're doing a good job of it. I would rather have them start establishing the world in Tar Valon than establishing it while our Emmons Fielders are traveling and learning about the world, because I think we need to get to the world faster.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I feel like this is book spoilers. So like you're asking a question that requires book spoilers for me. So I don't know how to answer without spoiling stuff for the books. And it's like really major stuff in the books. But I think, I guess I can just not say it. And maybe all the book readers understand what I'm saying, which is, look, they've done a huge job setting things up, right? Like first season setup is setting up so much. Like something I just did a Twitter watch party last night, tarvalon.net invited me, and I jumped in there and I didn't realize just how much setup was done, except then I watched the episode again and I was like, oh, well, of course they're setting up these 4, 5, 6 different things going to Tar Valon that going to Camelin makes much more difficult to set up. And so, yeah, I feel like they were saying, look, our goal here is to go more than one season. And if we're going to go more than one season, we need to set the foundation for things that are going to make sense to people when they happen, just like Jordan would do, right?
Yep.
It's stuff, all sorts of stuff starts making sense when you get further and further. And so to me, they're like, we have a short amount of time to do this. We don't have 14 books. We might even be covering 2 books in a season. So how do things are going to feel like they're happening really fast. People are already complaining about the speed, right? So ask yourself, 8 more episodes and what? We're at the end of what? Book 3? Like, how you feeling now?
Right.
give us 8 more episodes into season 2 and you're at the end of book Dragon Reborn. Stuff has to be happening. And so we don't have time. We don't have like the luxury of like, well, everyone's playing nice. You got to go to the Aes Sedai. They're already wearing their clothes. They're already associating their coloring. They're already very political. Leandrin's already building, pressure. There's already angst at the Amerlin level, right? You have to do these things. And how do you better show that than going to the place where it's happening? So like I showed in that map, I think it was an episode I did, the Dusty Wheel. can't remember when I showed this, but anyways, it was from the costume designer talking about it was like one of the bonus content. And she showed a map, and the map shows like the dotted line to Tar Valon from Two Rivers, and then it shows a dotted line to Faldara, and then it shows a dotted line going north of Faldara, right? Like that's the huge shift that happened. Instead of going Camelin, Faldara, it's Tar Valon, Faldara. And so, yeah, those are going to be your bigger. That's what's dominating the change, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you're focused on, honestly, you're focused on Warders and Aes Sedai and politics and Loghain over focusing on like the individual, maybe, Rand and Matt more and Perrin more and Egwene more and Elias and Camelin. So you're missing out on Camelin and Elias for the White Tower and politics and Loghain.
Let me hit this real quick. Beth said, my 20-year-old daughter loves the show. Thank you, Beth, by the way. She begged me to get her Eye of the World, which how awesome is that?
I love that.
I'm excited to see a new generation of fans, 30-year reader here. You know what, Beth, first of all, thank you for that comment, and thank you for the tip too. But the thing that you just said there, I think, is what hits home for a lot of us. Raise your hand if you were one of these people where you've had nobody in real life to talk to these books about for so many years, and you tried to get people to read, and they didn't, right? And now all of a sudden, this show has opened those doors of people starting to read. Like we've got readers in the chat right now.
Yeah,
that is darn cool. Like for those of us that have been at this a while, that is darn cool because you actually know, like watching you do these interviews on your channel with your husband.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Like you're talking to him as a non-reader, his interpretations of the show, he's hooked on it. It's just really cool to watch you and Patrick talk about it. He's got a lot of cool insights. That's the beauty of having something like this now.
I mean, for me, the best part of all of this has been random family members calling me to be like, I watched it. I want to talk to you about it. I'm like, okay, let's talk. And I've been waiting for this for 10 years. Let's talk. So yeah, it's been fun.
Let me hit one more comment here. Rant Almore. The show feels like a book, foreshadowing, subtle lore, unreliable narrators. It's the heart of Eye of the World. And I agree with that. I want to add my comment here on overall changes because Eye of the World, I made this comment also on our podcast. I am of the opinion that I think season 2 of the show, I think for people that are book purists will probably feel a lot closer to the books than this did. And I say that for this reason. Eye of the World is a notoriously difficult book to adapt, in my opinion, because the book is written literally 90% from Rand's point of view. Okay, like you're seeing the world through Rand's point of view. All right, I guess that's a spoiler, but through that though, we get characters that are less developed. We get, and then really we're following the same group of people, but we're not able to do the jumping around piece like they do in Game of Thrones or other fantasy series where you get to see things happening in different parts of the world. You really can't do that in Eye of the World unless you're adding content to it, which is what they've done. We added the Loghain content. By going to Tar Valon, as you pointed out, Matt, we're able to integrate some, like laying the groundwork for some politics for what's going on in the White Tower. Camelin would have been a cool destination too, but I don't think they could have done as much. And again, they have said this from the beginning, those of us that have been following it. Rafe is adapting the whole series, not Eye of the World. This is not meant, and this is the reason why I don't get held up, or when I do reviews, I'm not like, gosh, the changes, I'm not doing that because he said early on, I'm not adapting Eye of the World. We're adapting the Wheel of Time story, and there are changes that come about because we're setting up the stuff that's happening next.
Yep. And that, by the way, I think it's very logical that they could have taken the Amyrlin and the White Tower and brought them to Camelin, but it wouldn't establish Tar Valon and anything that, right? You're going to get a little bit of the politics. You're going to get to know some of the players, but you won't get into the city. You won't get to understand what's happening there. So it seems like they just chose the other side of that. I will note, I think, I noted this on Friday. I'll note it again. I think Moraine's original plan was to go to Tar Valon, and so if you take Caemlyn out of the whole thing, well, you end up in Tar Valon because that was the original plan. So when people are like, "How dare they end up in Tar Valon?" You're like, "Well, that was Moraine's that was Moraine's idea." Like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
yeah. So like, I don't know. You can hate it, but it's in the books, and that's what I find is so funny. People hate it on the Karina and Steppen thing, and I'm like, I don't get it. It's in the books.
Sure.
It's not this book, but it's in the books.
It's in the books. Sherry, thank you very much.
Yes, Masha Dagger. Why don't we all call it Masha Dagger? I love that.
That's good.
We had one other comment here. I think Stephen W 1965. I think the first season had to be a crash course in lore and the world building. I think that it will fall more in line with the books with each new season. And again, I don't want to set up the expectation. I agree with you, Stephen. I don't want to set up the expectation that book 2 and season 2 are going to be identical, because I don't think that will be the case. But I think it will probably, now that they've done a lot of the groundwork for the characters, because I made this comment and somebody called me out on a video and I think they're dead wrong. And I have a mouthpiece to say it and you don't, so shush. I think in the books, in Eye of the World, Matt and Perrin for a good chunk of the book are nothing but sidekicks.
Yep.
Like there's no development, there's no depth to their characters. And right now, we have right now at this point in the story, Matt and Perrin are real characters.
Yep.
Whereas they are not in the books.
Yeah. Dragon Reborn. Yeah. Dragon Reborn is when they really become
characters,
much more fully realized characters. It's not in. It's before then. They're just kind of going along.
And I also think it's worth noticing that like it's valuable to save some things for season 2. Like we always bring up Game of Thrones, but we don't go to Melisandre and Dragonstone and Stannis until the beginning of season 2 because we want to save that so that when season 2 comes, there's a whole new expansion of this world. And I think Caemlyn is a good substitute for that, to like wait for season 2 to show us that facet of what we're dealing with.
For sure. Let me hit a few more of these comments because they're coming in and we're getting behind on them. My man Z from Canada, showrunner is a lifelong super fan, and we also have Sarah Nakamura as another hardcore fan in the helm. What more could we want? And guys, they really are. Like Matt, you've talked to them. I've talked to them. Like they're not faking it when they talk about being super fans. Like, like Rafe is not making that up. That's not that's serious. And by the way, Z is an awesome teacher. Z set up his class. He made a Wheel of Time club last year, and they were all reading Wheel of Time. So that's a good teacher.
I love that.
We have Johnny Gratz. Brian, I'm also in a mixed relationship, reader, non-reader, and we are loving your videos with Patrick. Thank you for that.
Thank you for watching.
Too. They're the best. You should all check out Wheel Talk.
I love talking to a non-reader about the show, honestly. It blows my mind. My husband is also very perceptive and I'm kind of not. So it's like, wait, what do you mean that's what happened? I have to go back and watch it. But it's really been a long time since I've been able to talk to someone about the Wheel of Time and hear them theorizing. So it's fun.
We get one more comment here. I think it was great to go to Tar Valon because it set up the idea that this is a dangerous place for a man who can be the Dragon Reborn. And you're already seeing that. Look at what's going on with them hiding Matt. I love it. And last thing, and then we'll dive into some breaking down some specific scenes. But how cool is it? And I know for you, Matt, you built a website based around theorizing around the Wheel of Time back in the day. Matt's one of the OG content creators. Back when it was websites that everybody made.
That's right.
But how cool is it that like we're back in theorizing mode? Like we're not sitting here going, okay, I can't wait till they get to this part and I know exactly what's going to happen. Now we're sitting here like, what are they going to do with this? And where are we going to like? Yeah. That is what the Wheel of Time is. If that isn't Wheel of Time, I don't know what else is.
But I realized this. I was doing a podcast episode. Brian, my fellow Theorylander, we do Barside chats, and we were chatting about this very thing recently. We were reading comments from fans that were maybe negative, and we were talking to each other about like, do they have points? And one of them was like, this is bad writing, and you can clearly tell because people are theorizing that Layla's a dark friend. And I was like, Brian and I looked at each other like, this guy doesn't have a point. We're like, there's no point here. What are you talking about? Like, we took Robert Jordan's writings and we theorized the most ridiculous, absurd ideas with the data that he gave us. Like, I'm like, if the idea is an absurd theory, then Robert Jordan's writing was terrible. Because but it's this idea of, no, people that are just seeing the show for the first time, they're not going to think to themselves, Layla's a dark friend. We know everything. We know we've been tricked, we've been duped, we've been red herringed to death for decades. And so, yeah, somebody tries to come in and play with us. No, our first thing's going to be like, what are you hiding? Don't lie to us. You're hiding something, right? Like, we're immediately suspect. So of course we're going to come up with Layla dark friend theories. I mean, that's just it's a phenomena of talking about these books.
First of all, let me hit this. Thank you, Harolden. Yeah, if I can say that. Now, I want to bring this comment up because Grumpy, first of all, thank you for becoming a member, Grumpy. Grumpy is very much that. He is grumpy.
He's grumpy.
Okay.
He's quite grumpy. It's a correct title. Land would not cry over water. I 100% disagree with this sentiment. First of all, for a couple of reasons. I would say this. I would say Bookland and Showland are very, very similar, but I would also say they're different. And I'm okay with the changes to Land's character because it's actually added character to him. But what they were doing is a mix of a funeral rite scene where one person carried the grief for the group. Go back and rewatch the scene. He is the one that is meant to show the grief. I don't think that Lan is incapable of grief. In fact, he did it. If I remember correctly, he does that in one of the books. Let's just call it one of the prequel books. So I just wanted to put that. I don't think that these things are so like game breaking like people think they are. My big thing with the books, and I want you guys to tell me if you agree or disagree with this. I said before the show came out, plot changes would not bother me. If they screwed up the characters, that's what would get to me. Like, that's when I would be out if the characters were way off. I feel like not necessarily the plot events that have happened to the characters, but in terms of the characterization, like who they are, like how they act, that type of thing.
Right.
I think they've nailed it. Or where they haven't nailed it, they've expanded it to a point where it makes more sense. Do you guys agree, disagree?
The characters who feel different to me, I like more. Including Lan, who does feel different to me from the books. He does feel different to me. The way he's described is very stoic. And honestly, I'm more interested in the Lan I get on the show. I'm more interested in the subtlety of him letting his guard down every once in a while. And the other one who comes to mind, Alana and Leandrin, who are different than they are in the books. And frankly, I like them more. I'm having such a good time watching them in this new telling and getting a little deeper into those characters. And also not knowing what's going to happen with them. So any characters who feel different, I'm enjoying that aspect of it. Some of them feel different, but I think it's deliberate and there are improvements there.
So I think there are a couple of things here. One, of course, they're different. Matt's different when Brandon wrote him. I mean, give me a break. It's like, I mean, like, just we don't have enough dialogue. We don't have enough point of view for you to get inside of a character's mind and not craft them differently than Robert Jordan. I'm sorry. Like, be realistic with this. It's ridiculous to ever say the characters are exactly the same because Robert Jordan didn't write them. Brandon Sanderson's characters, not exactly the same. Brandon got whined at about this all the time. I mean, mercilessly about Matt, just like, and he's the one that was like, yep, I didn't get Matt. He's the one that warned everybody, like, Matt's hard to deal. I think Barney, great Matt version, but guess what? They're all going to be versions. I don't know why this is a hard concept for people that are watching to understand. Robert Jordan did not write these scripts. I don't know. Like, yeah, you're right. And guess what? The dialogue did not exist in the books. So somebody that's a human being that thinks they can write wrote these characters. So you're right. They're going to get them a little bit different. At the end of the day, they're going to be a little bit different. The beat's going to be a little bit different. And guess what? You don't have enough point of views in Lan's mind to convince me that you as the viewer and reader know Lan better than I do or anybody else does. Sorry. You can't tell me what Lan's thinking. You can't tell me what he's doing. All you can show me are the very individual actions from an unreliable narrator that we get from point of views of other people that see them do things in very limited circumstances. And so from that, I say, too bad. This is what we get. You can't prove it to me. I can't prove it to you. So therefore, let's just enjoy the characters and try to find things in the characters that they've given us that we see in the books. And so when I see things that Lan does in the show where I would go, oh, that's what I recognize as Lan in the books. I like that. I appreciate that. That's when I get like, oh, that's cool. Barney, again, I see a lot of Matt in him. I get really excited about it, right? Alana, Leandrin, it's like, I don't know. I get behind their heads and I'm like, maybe they were thinking some of these thoughts. I don't know. We didn't get inside their heads. So thank you, Rafe, for getting us inside their heads, making them human beings that have emotions and desires and thoughts. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit different than our point of view characters thought about them later. So
Mike dropped from the Innkeeper here. Just boom.
Boom.
But no, that was awesome, because the thing I would add to that is, again, I've thought about making a video about this and kind of breaking down this subject more, but here's what I would tell you guys, because this is actually proven in psychology. If you come at something with a pre-existing mindset, that's the mindset through which you're going to view it. If you don't want to like this, you're going to find every reason in the world to not like it. If you are looking to be engaged and excited at a new turning of the wheel and you want to enjoy it, unless it goes out of its way to be awful, you're gonna tend to find it more enjoyable. I'm choosing to enjoy it for what it is, because it was always going to be different. Heck, if Robert Jordan were alive today and wrote first of all, they would never let him write the scripts, or if they did, even then they would be different. So I just point out, like, to your point, Matt, you can't expect exactly what was in your head, because I guarantee you what was in your head is different than what was in my head, and is different than what was. That's the beauty of reading. Okay,
well, it's why I'm seeing these comments in chat again. Lan does throw some hissy fits. I don't know what like when I read it, Lan, and I read his reactions, I get hissy fit every once in a while. So, and in his version of Lan's hissy fit. So, in the end, what you're seeing communicated by Daniel Henney, yes, maybe not the perfect version of your Lan and how you think Lan should act, emoting forward in a screen by an actor reading dialogue by a person, not Robert Jordan. I don't know what to give you other than he's trying to do his best to bring Lan to the freaking screen. This is something he's excited to play. He's looking forward to this role. He loves this role, and he's trying to give us his best Lan. And I think he's even like done interviews. Like he's talked about like really the struggle of trying to be this person. And I guess we can be pissed off that they're not the version of the Lan that we see. But in the end of the day, like, this is Lan. And if he's not as stoic as you want him to be, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know.
Let me hit a few comments here. We got Hybrid Havoc. Thank you. What I love is that we think we know everything and now we don't. And that's true. Like, we don't know what's happening.
I mean, the unpredictability is, for me, the most fun part of the show now, because I haven't gotten to feel that way in so long. To the point that
Sedai says that too. It's really fun not knowing what will happen. It's been way too long, and that is fun.
It is. I honestly, like, I'm hoping some characters will turn out to be dark friends who weren't in the books, because I want to be guessing. I want that I hope for that for the show, because it'll be fun for book readers to be able to start guessing again. I'm not going to spoil anything, but like, there were thoughts I had. It was like, I never it happening on the show, and it's fun to start thinking that way. I'm loving it.
Yep. Let me hit this one, because this is a different point of view. Kansu Linares, if I said that right. I don't know, though. I spot some flaws in Lan. The Axeland they've created, I do not see him teaching Rand how to stand up to the Armelin so briskly. I'll just we know what we know what he meant. So what's your response to that?
Yeah, I'm bummed that I'm disappointed that Rafe. Well, we don't. It's hard to know what got cut out of what their plans were, right? I'm disappointed we don't have more Lan and Rand. I think that was a key relationship. Maybe again, I don't want to say they're not going to give us this, because I don't know, right? Like maybe we have 3 more episodes, and then we have like season 2. maybe they're looking at like this arc of developing that relationship later, you know. But yes, I would have expected to see those things because I thought those were key. And that is one of my biggest disappointments, I think, from the initial episodes, early episodes, was a lack of Lan interaction with the boys, with Rand and teaching, you know, weaponry and stuff.
Yep.
I hear that, but I'm glad we're getting more in-person reaction with Nynaeve. I do really like that we're getting, it feels like a trade-off to me. And it's an interesting one that they chose that, but I'm okay with it.
Well, and I'm willing to give them more time in the season 2 because we may still set some of those things up. Recappa Sedai, our favorite here. Thank you, Matt, for that insight. Well said. Nae'Blis, wig. Okay. See, he doesn't.
Yeah, you better do it.
He doesn't think I said anything smart. It's just you. Good things you said, Matt. Nae'Blis,
but you get to wear your wig.
And Recappa, I love you, and Patrick chatting TV show. Like, see, all the praise, and just Nae'Blis put the damn wig on.
And it looks amazing. It's amazing.
Well, I like my strap that hangs right here.
That makes it.
It really does. One more comment here, and then we'll get into some clips here. We've got Adam. Patriots went to the half at the perfect. Okay, yeah, sorry, you're talking about the football game. I was like, what are you talking about? If Lan doesn't throw hissy fits, what is him begging Nynaeve to allow him to forsake his vows to Moraine and the Shadow? Well, that's a book spoiler, but
you don't read the comment before.
yeah, but yes, I agree with you. We'll just leave it at that for the sake of not getting into spoilers.
I want to throw one more comment out here, and then you can, you know, and it's your show. I don't want to, but I saw this comment, and these always get me. You know, you had someone in your chat here who said like, so much brainwashing. I'm out of here. I don't understand why you can't enjoy something without other people thinking like you're brainwashed, or you can't have a concept of like realism of, look, you get what you get. I mean, how do you read the last 3 books of the Wheel of Time and you're like, no, Brandon Sanderson gave me the exact characters the exact way Robert Jordan would have. He didn't. And if you read those books and you liked them, you have the capability of liking these if you just tell yourself somebody else wrote them. And I don't think that's brainwashing. I think it's perspective. I think it's honesty. I think it's realism. So I don't know. Those things annoy me.
Well, the funniest things are the fact that I joke about it all the time, but apparently, I mean, I know Amazon has bought me a yacht, a house. They bought me so many things I can't even remember half of them, with the sole purpose of me giving mediocre reviews on my small YouTube channel. And I know for you, Matt, too, like they've given you the world. Like you have 4 houses in Europe now, and
yes,
from Amazon.
Yeah,
I joke about that. It's so stupid, guys. People say that stuff because we went out to the premiere. Which is ridiculous. They did not tell us what we could say. And you know what? It would be different if we were the only people that had these opinions. We're not. We're not at all. And I'm going to say what I think. You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not the fandom. You don't get to gatekeep. You don't get to say who the real fans are. I guarantee you I'll put Matt Hatch's fan cred up against yours any day of the week. Did you start a website that had 50,000 views every 2 seconds like his did?
Every 2. Whoa, every
2 seconds.
That was not true. It did not have that.
Well, but you didn't probably, unless you were Jason Denzel, who also is a big super fan. So odds are you don't have the cred. So keep your mouth shut. Anyways, let's
for what it's worth, the people who I'm very insulated in the people I read comments from. It's often the same group, but expanding that group since the show started and talking to people online who are not a part of the normal people I interact with. Everyone out absolutely loves it, and that's been really encouraging to me to hear that just like my regular friends and family who doubt this channel I have love the show.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and kick on a clip here. I know this is a short clip, and I just want to point these out and we can talk about this a little bit. You'll see what it is when I show it. So here we go.
I'll give you one for this and one for the other one.
I thought we were going to the White Tower.
Yeah, we will. But first, we need to rest and clean up.
Think they'll let us in looking like this?
Okay, I think I split the clip wrong. Did anybody notice what we heard there? And who that
the whistle thing is, I feel like there's like, we're gonna get to like May, we're gonna get to March in 2022, and people are gonna be like, "There's a whistle," and everybody's like, "Don't mention the whistles." I'm sick of hearing about the whistles because like it's so like a cool thing that we're like uber focused on now. I just love it. Yeah, whistling is awesome.
So here's the question I have, because I love the whistles. I think it's really,
it's great.
Cool. It's a great like little Easter egg to catch, because you go back into the other episodes now and you're like, oh shit, there it is. How do you explain the Shadar Logoth whistles? Or can you yet?
Brian.
Honestly, I'm gonna be very honest. My internet cut out for a second while that was playing, and I'm like, pretty sure I know what we're talking about.
We're talking about the part where I was gonna make something up, but yeah.
No, but
we're talking about Fein whistles.
When it cut out and cut back in, I was like, this is the part where Pot on Fein showed up, right?
Yes.
I went off the internet for a second. All right. Now the whistle for Pot on, I mean, like it's Pot on Fein, but it's
you're cutting in and out, Brian. I don't know if you want to try to like restart and pop back in.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. We'll come back to Matt. What were your thoughts?
So I love Pat and Fein.
Same.
The beggar version of Pat and Fein. People were talking. I saw that someone mentioned this about Pat and Fein. They didn't want to maybe go the Gollum, the Lord of the Rings route, where he kind of has that, right? Again, Lord of the Rings, Eye of the World, everybody. That would have been a very much like that, right? That character, if you had kind of gone that route. And I don't know. I haven't. Johann Myers is amazing, and I want him more than just the Where's Waldo version of him. So I'm like,
Where's Waldo?
It's cool to see him, right? It's like awesome. And I'm always like, oh, and they're winking at us, the whistles. I didn't notice him the first 2 times. I mean, the first time I watched it and people said, did you notice Fein? And I was like, I felt like a terrible fan. I was like, I missed Fein. No. And so I thought that is cool when they can have people watch that miss it, then it's awesome. If it gets to be too much, where it's just like Fein is showing up everywhere and there's whistles everywhere, I feel like it could be like overused. But my explanation for Shadar Logoth was that, yes, my explanation was he was there. My explanation is that was their coy way of the shadow and the whistle of giving us what we think happened there without actually showing it and spending time.
And again, we're trying to avoid book spoilers, so.
Oh, did I? I
no,
tried to say
good.
the eye of the
You're
world.
good. You're doing a great job of skirting it. I'm saying to everybody, that's why you're not going further with that.
Yeah.
I think they need to re-release Eye of the World as a Where's Waldo book, but it's Where's Pot on Fein.
That would be cool.
And we go through every chapter. Yeah.
I love Where's Waldo books.
Who doesn't?
Matt's Daggers. My wife, a never reader, after crying, said, "Okay, now I get who has a warrior and who is a friend, so it's a win with me." Yes, I'm not exactly sure what you're speaking in reference to. I'm assuming maybe Lan, but
there's a Lan reference at the funeral.
We have Dan Carmo. The most relevant compliment I can pay to the show is that somehow it's been the scenes not in the books that have pulled tears from my eyes, to be honest. And
yeah, I hear that.
That's a common sentiment. I've caught that. I mean, there's a lot of people, the scenes that weren't in the books. I retweeted this and I thought it was really powerful. Somebody made a comment on my review of episode 5 that was a vet, an army vet, or I guess I shouldn't say army because I don't know if it was army, but was a veteran, and made a comment about how watching the warders made him very emotional, because that is literally like the way that they give each other shit. He said the way that the camaraderie, but then also the fact that they know they've lost somebody, and that feeling of loss of that person that's next to you. Like, he said that was the most powerful episode of TV that he'd seen.
Wow.
It was just evoking that kind of emotion. And when I tweeted that out, a lot of people responded basically saying, yes, me too. And
Wow.
so I thought that was really powerful.
Yep.
I hadn't heard that perspective. I love that. And in general, about like scenes that aren't in the books, I am, even the ones that don't make me cry, I am more interested because I haven't seen them yet. Like Moiraine and Logain, Moiraine and Leandrin, these are things that, like, whether they make me cry or not, I am so much more invested because it's something I haven't seen yet. So yeah, I feel like it's exciting because of all the new scenes.
Well, and I want to add to that. Sorry, here we get the dragon. Agreed, Semper Fi. Again, thank you for your service. Loss in that brotherhood is very painful. Here's the thing with the Lan part. We never saw in the show Lan being around early on when another warder died in the books. Just throw it out there. Sorry, that's a spoiler or not, but it didn't happen. So you can't tell me how Lan would have reacted, but I'll tell you this: people that have served, if you lose somebody that you are in a brotherhood, quote unquote, with, that you were friends with, like he clearly was with Steppen, it's not manly or strong or powerful of Lan to stand there with no emotion and go, yeah, I guess he died. Like, that isn't real. So anybody that's all over Lan for showing emotion, I just find that ridiculous because that scenario never came up. And I do think that's how Lan would have reacted because you know what he did in New Spring. So
can I point this out about Lan?
Yeah.
I will empathize with my fellow fans out there that did want to see some Lan just go to town with a sword and just kill people, like Trollocs and Fades. You know, that's what I'm talking about. And maybe I missed that beat where he was a very, very dangerous, capable person in that way. He seems very capable in other ways. That is the part where, again, it's one of those, and there was a little clip, and we've talked about this, like a script that maybe never got off the page, like into like actual creating the visuals of this, or filming it. But it showed Lan came back and he's all bloodied and he had killed 3 Fades or something like that before they got to Shadow Logoth. Like that's a beat from the book that I wanted. I still want. I need that Lan. I do. Like, as a book reader, I'm like, just give me that Lan. And I feel like it's almost like purposeful. Like they're not giving us that Lan yet. And it I don't know. Like, I want to see that Lan.
Well, and I would add to that in that I also think that Lan, they're not even hinting at the fact that he's the best of the best.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That's interesting. Yeah. Why did they just choose Lan because he was Steppen's friend? Do we think? Was that why they chose him? Or was it because he's Lan?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Again, probably because he was his friend. I mean, that's the book they built up.
Because it could also be that he's, Lord of the Seven Towers. I don't know if that was. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, but.
Oh, sorry.
No. Sorry. Oh shoot! Yeah, I should. Yeah, sorry.
I was saying.
I'm going to keep the discussion moving on. I'm going to play another clip that we will all love talking about. So let me just go ahead and play this as a little cut up version of this.
The growth and cycle.
Oh, I didn't even hear you come in.
Stay back.
Oh dear, you humans are very excitable. My first day in Tarvalon, I could not believe the uproar. Children cried, women screamed, and a mob chased me all the way across the city waving knives. I'm afraid I was almost beginning to get a little upset. You know this book?
Yes.
Why would the travels of Jane Fastrider make you sad? It's a first-class adventure.
No, a girl I know used to read this book every day. Thought she was Jane herself reincarnated.
Well, that would be quite unlikely. With all the humans,
It's just something she thought,
I see. I forget how frivolous you humans can be with your thoughts.
I love, honestly, Loyal brings a smile to my face. I can understand people being, I think the hair is honestly what I think had people a little thrown off when they first saw the costume, maybe. But the moment Hamad opens his mouth, you're like, all right, that's loyal. Like, that's
Yeah.
loyal. Like,
I think it's a great example of successfully adapting the books, Loyal's character. Because, like, in the books, I don't really get attached to Loyal because he just he feels very one note. I love Aerith and I'm an Ogier. Everything he says in this scene, even though it is loyalish, it feels so real and sincere. And I kind of bought it more than I buy the character in the books. I was like, this feels like a real character. And I don't know if I've ever really latched onto Loyal that way. So I love Loyal on the show. I love Loyal. I think, what's his name? I'm sorry. The actor. Hamad is just like, it's such a great performance. And I'm excited that I get to like Loyal on the show.
Yeah, I just saw Wild Gardenia mention this in chat that the hair kind of has a tree-esque, kind of like the hands bark, and then the hair is a tree singer kind of. This is not like totally uncommon for them to be like, we're not going to go this full thing, so how can we associate symbolically some things? I don't know. He won me over with his performance, so I haven't paid too much attention to like the other aspects of him. And again, Loyal was cool when I was a kid, but I was much more interested in like Matt and Rand and, at the time. So I think Loyal is a cool character, but I don't have as much emotional investment as other people do in how he looks as to how he was translated. But I get it. People want his ears. I kept on like looking a little bit for his ears to see if they were pointy. But
I like.
I didn't even think about that.
The one thing I want to point out in that, because I keep seeing people misstate this, and I'm feeling like we're not even watching the same scene. They did not gender swap Jane Farstrider. I don't understand why people keep thinking that. Like, watch it again if you think that. It did not happen. So
that's not what they said.
They did not say that. So anybody that thinks that, I keep seeing people comment it. I've seen people talk about it in other venues, and it's just, that's not what they did. Watch it again if that's what you think. But I thought they got the characterization well, and I was going to say this. This is a perfect example to me of one of the things that I think is very hard, in my opinion, to dispute. I think they've nailed the casting so far.
Oh yeah.
Like across the board, like the performances have been outstanding. Outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Well, if this makes sense. Because maybe this is where, because I that one I don't understand when I see that criticism. That one I'm like, I can't get behind the criticism that the acting sucks in any way. Like that's
right.
I can understand if the criticism is this isn't the character written the way I expected from the books, and therefore I don't like the acting job of the character that I'm not expecting. Does that make sense? Like I can see if people are kind of mixing those two concepts, but the acting itself, I think, has been great. I'm not sure where the criticism of the acting itself has come from, but
yeah,
I get it. No, not everybody has to like everything. So I don't like everything. I don't expect everyone else to. So yeah, that makes sense. People just don't like some of the acting.
But I also think some of the acting jobs have elevated these characters to above what they were in the books. Like Aim Involved is a good example. Anyway, sorry, there's a comment. I'll shut up.
Well, Miss Sarah James, how much do you think Rafe's production decisions have been influenced by alternate media like graphic novels and the audiobooks? Also, Wig. Well, I'll put it on for you anyway. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Rafe's decisions have been influenced by the other media out there about the Wheel of Time?
No. Having the graphic novels, I don't think those were an influence, I will say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to know. I think he's, I would not, I saw that people say this early on, they wish they had the opportunity to be the showrunner because they would have like done it better or something. And I'm like, this is not a job I would ever want.
Sure.
It's from when he talks about just the sheer amount of pressures involved and decisions that have to be made about all of these things. And that does not sound actually like fun. So the fact that he enjoys this is remarkable. Like, it's not something that I would ever want to do. but yeah, I absolutely 100% believe that he has successfully kept like the spine and the heart of the books.
And I actually think, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was the last episode in particular, we started to really see them break away from what book readers might imagine certain things to look like. For example, the moment of melting the ring in the cauldron is brand new, I think. Things like the funeral, these aren't images we get in the books. They're not images in the graphic novels. And I think Rafe is taking his influences from a broader scope of media, Wheel of Time media.
Well, I would say, again, you cut out again, Brian, but I
no.
think you're frozen. You're frozen on us. Now you're back.
Shoot.
But I was going to say, I think that he did, like with the dagger specifically, because I saw some people talking to that. He mentioned this in one of the behind the scenes things. They created the dagger as it was described in the books, but the jewel never came through that you could see it. And so they redesigned the dagger so that you could see the jewel. Like it was just a visual medium type thing. I want to hit on this one because this is, again, one of those things that we had the benefit of watching the show be made and watching all the question Q&A sessions. Kansu said, Cardinal Sin, though, water cloaks are out. Rude. That was one of the things they brought up because that would require CGI in every scene that you see a warder. And it was just like with their budget, it wouldn't have made sense to... Like in the same way they could have made Loyal CGI, but then every scene that Loyal was in would have to be CGI. And that gets very, very expensive for full CGI characters. So
also, it's an example of something that I think is better without, like, you don't really want to see those warder cloaks constantly changing color in the middle of a TV show. In the same way, I don't think you want to see a bunch of CGI Loyal. You want to just like watch the show. And it's kind of like Aes Sedai agelessness. I think if you try to adapt that to TV, it becomes messy. Yep. And that's a good example of some things you just cut for TV, and that's okay, I think.
All right, I want to hit one more scene here that I think will definitely spark some conversation. So let me go ahead and show this.
You'll find me harder to kill than that girl. Especially with a flame so smooth. In truth, I was expecting more. Light, protect me. What are you?
Woof, fire. Okay. Couple things. I think let's start with this question.
Mm-hmm.
Was the flame just too small, or does he have some form of something that's keeping him from being channeled at?
I think the flame was too small, but it also seemed like a crazy risk to just allow her to throw whatever size fireball she managed to conjure. But it seemed to me like the flame was too small.
Go ahead, Matt.
So he said, man, I pointed this out in the Twitter watch party thing I did. Now I can't remember what the exact quote was, but it was just like, he said something that suggested that he was aware of the channeling. Like he's
there you are,
like,
girl.
Yeah, there you are.
Mm-hmm.
Before necessarily like it was, you saw anything. And, but there was like some other statement he made where I'd be surprised if they come back and they're just like, this dude is just really confident. He puts Aes Sedai, even though he said, Aes Sedai have told me, doesn't he says like, Aes Sedai have told me that you actually could channel without your hands or whatever, but like he'd be killed by now by any Aes Sedai that could. And so for him to be so confident, it doesn't seem like she was drugged in any way. So for him to be so confident, it feels like there's got to be. I lean towards there's a thing. There's some he has some ability to know something, whether or not it's Terangria-like, whether or not it's talent, whether or not it's channeling, maybe whether or not it's a gift from the Dark One himself or something. I don't know.
You're right. Well, there is a piece there that I think is interesting because he says, you're going to have to do better. He said something like, I expected more out of you, but you're going to good try. Like
if she'd thrown a bigger
like
fireball, he'd have been fine with it.
Yeah, it seemed like it was something like that. I'm screwing up the actual wording, but he worded it in such a way that it was like, had you thrown a huge fireball at me, I wouldn't have cared, but you're going to have to do a lot better than that. Like, and it just, the fact that he wanted her to channel so bad seems really stupid to me, because if he had no protection at all, he's literally asking for it.
And there's also like, he could have just killed her. No one else is in there. No one else is there. So he could have killed them both and probably gotten away with it.
Something's up.
Yeah.
I'll hit a couple of these comments. Chris sleeping. Perrin's golden eyes. I love that. And we'll get to talking about that here in a second. We had a flurry of comments here. Rant, our first strong look at elements and weaves. Yeah, I think we saw fireball in the first episode, and then here was more fire. Joe GB, diversion. Elaine is calculated. She has her wits, and she absolutely does. I love that. Like, she knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I didn't catch it on my first watch, and then I was like, oh, yes. That's a distraction. Yeah.
We have Beth. Valda did not have a way to know about her channeling. She was weak in the power and split her weaves in desperation. It was the most that she could do. I don't know if we have the answer to that or not, Beth. Because I can see where you're coming from. However, he just seems awful confident, and there's something weird about that.
I found the quote. He said, "An Aes Sedai would have tried to channel already." How would he know if an Aes Sedai tried to channel versus did channel? And it was the trying aspect. The idea that he could know that they are trying, because when they basically are holding the one power, maybe he has some ability to know they're trying. And that was the phrase that I kind of twisted on, where I was like, okay, anyways.
That's interesting. But if he did have something to detect her channeling, then once she threw the fireball, he would have sensed her going for Perrin's bonds, right?
Who knows? I think you're right.
That's interesting.
What Fandom says, what if his little feather belt attachment gives him something to detect channeling? I could see something like that. I mean, obviously, we know that stuff exists in World, unless he's a dark friend, which he could be. We have Brandon Broadshow. Egwene splitting her weaves already. Both of her hands and Perrin's bonds at once. I love it. I will say this. I feel like they've enhanced the power of channeling so far.
Yeah.
Like Nynaeve did something that isn't able to be done in the books. Or was never done in the books, I should say. And ooh, you have a thought, Matt. Go.
No, it is. It's like book spoilers. I can't go there.
Yeah. Phil, when Egwene says she can't channel, he says something to the effect of, that confirms you're not Aes Sedai, because she is lying and he knows it. Again, yeah, something is. He was way too confident. So let's hop off that subject real quick. We have one more comment here before we do that. Rant Elmore again. I think that we see the weaves woven of fire itself, which are usually, we just see them as white. We'll see the weaves more colored as the characters are. Now, we did see the weaves of white behind her coming into her hand. So maybe that's part of it too. But I want to ask this question, because I don't know that we can truly answer. Oh my gosh, every time I want to change subjects, we get another one. You guys are awesome, by the way. Choji B, just because you can't see the weaves doesn't mean you can't feel their effects. The wind, the fire, try is nuanced. Sure. And I can give you that. I think we'll have to find out. But let's talk about Valda's reaction to Perrin.
Yeah. He was freaked out. And like you think this guy's seen a lot. He's been in situations where he was somehow able to cut off an Aes Sedai's hand. So you have to believe he's kind of seen it all. And so when Perrin broke out of that, my husband asked me this, and I was like, I don't know. Was it just Perrin's yellow eyes and maybe the fact that it looked like he was breaking out in his own that freaked out Valda? Or was Perrin hulking out? Was he getting physically bigger? And that's why Waldo reacted the way he did. I don't know. The way they shot it, I'm not sure.
Man, I don't know if I'd be like in for hulking out.
I like that term because I know exactly what it means.
No, I know.
But it's
I know.
weird, like
I can't have like his like clothing like go werewolf and like, no,
and he becomes
don't do that.
Yeah.
Anyone watching Nae'Blis right now, don't give us a hulking parent, please, for the love.
I want to turn
do
green and just fully, yeah.
Turns into a wolf.
Yeah, no. Oh, I mean, yeah. Honestly, the dragon just said this. You hear the growl.
Mm-hmm.
You do hear that. If he had growled a couple more times, maybe that you do see the eyes, the size and maybe the eyes, but it did seem. I mean, this guy's dramatic, but it seemed like a reaction that was a bit more. You're like, what is he seeing that we're not seeing at this point? Which, and then they do the close up of Perrin's face, so maybe there is something in his facial feature that they're giving him that identifies that this thing is something's happening to him. I don't know.
Well, I also don't think he saw Egwene burn the bonds off, so it almost looked like Perrin rips his way out of it and like to a degree, not hulking out, but like looks pretty intimidating because Perrin is a big. I'll tell you this, Abdul Salas, not a big guy. I'm 6'6", and I'll tell you this, Marcus is looking me in the eye, and he is a big dude.
He's a big dude.
He is a huge guy. Like, Matt, were you shocked at how big he was when we saw him in person?
Yeah, but totally chill. Like, you know what I mean? Like so
Totally
Perrin in that way. Almost like kind of rolled the shoulders a little bit, and kind of like not like aware of his size in a way that he's not like dominating the room, but he does dominate it, But yeah,
he's a big dude.
I love hearing that.
So I can't help but think he was just scared of like, oh my God, this guy's going to tear me limb from limb. Because his eyes turned like he thought he was a shadow spot.
But doesn't it also seem like no, I agree completely. I guess I'm thinking if part of him freaking out was that Perrin broke the ropes, he should know enough about Aes Sedai by now to realize that that's a possibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if he's freaking out that Perrin ripped those ropes, it's like, but you fought Aes Sedai before and you already, and I'm trying to figure out like what freaked him out because the eyes don't seem like enough and breaking out of the bonds doesn't seem like enough. But maybe it was just he saw the eyes and was like, I've never seen that before. I don't know.
I would have preferred like he tried to swing the knife at him and like Perrin caught his and then like another growl or something like that. That would have been to me a much more, and I would have been in that moment.
And then be like, what are you?
Well, then have Egwene like come in. I'm totally fine with that. The dropping the knife theme thing seemed to be like I don't know. Like I don't know if it's just like a lot of bravado. I don't know if that's what they're trying to tell us about it. But
I think another route that they could have gone was Egwene set his cloak on fire. Like it's just a different way. Like it sets up a number of things. If like it sort of negates him if his cloak is on fire, he's not going to attack. He might drop the knife if his cloak was on fire. Perrin scare. Like I just think that the way that it played out could have been done a little differently, in my opinion.
But it maybe, and this is, we often from Perrin's perspective, and that'll be an interesting thing, right? You get from Perrin's perspective what he's feeling when he, hulks out, right? Like because in the books he does, right? He goes almost full wolf, and he loses himself in that moment, and it's described in very specific ways, and it's hard to know like what is he doing, what is he looking like, what is his face, what does it sound like from the outside looking at him, because I'm struggling to think of a time where we get a point of view seeing Perrin in his wolf berserker mode from the outside. And so I wonder if they were trying to, maybe there is going to be a physical change, not like full on, like there's hair on his arms and his claws grow out, but maybe there will be an amplification of him in some way to visually see it from the outside when that he's in kind of berserker, wolf, when he's wolfing out, whatever we want to call it. So maybe that's what he does see. Maybe when they do the close up of eye, because you do kind of almost his face almost seems a little bit thicker. So maybe that is what they're showing us, and we're just not seeing it. So we're like, why the hell did he drop the knife? It's like, stab the dude if you're that scared of him. So I do wonder if we are going to see that in the future when Perrin's going through this, where we get an outside view and he actually does see, there are some light physical changes that you see.
Yeah.
Let's hit this comment here. We got WL. Thank you again. If Waldo was a dark friend, why would he say life preserve me? Well, sometimes they do if they want to hide it, and we need Boris Johnson's opinion, hence the wig. Thank you for that. I hope that Waldo is not a dark friend, to be honest, because I like villains that aren't just twirl my mustache, I'm evil. I think that I want him to be what he is, which is a zealot, really. Real quick, we'll come back and we'll do some last minute comments here, but I want to hit the shameless promotion of Tarval and After Dark. Typically what I'll do is if you're new to the live shows, I will play a commercial for our upcoming episode of Tarval and After Dark, which drops tomorrow morning.
Hey.
So we have a new commercial, which you all are going to get the live premiere of right now. And then make sure you check out the podcast. So here we go. And we'll talk about it after. So without further ado.
Do you want official Wheel of Time backstory? Are you desperate for lore that expands this world? Are you searching for internet stuff that informs you, but also aligns with the show? Introducing What Origins from Amazon Prime. These animated clips have been available for a while, but no one knows how to find them. As a What Origins viewer, you'll receive inside info about the Ajas, details on Manetherin's fall, and descriptions of how the One Power works. All you have to do is find the What Origins animated shorts, which exist somewhere. What Origins? It's free to watch, if you can find it, which you can't.
Oh, that's a good sound, man. That's good.
Wow. I'm excited for that episode to post.
That is savage. That was like I said. Oh, wow.
It is listening back. I was like, oh.
If you want to find our podcast, Tarval and After Dark, it's thegreatblight.com/Tarval and After Dark. Brian, how would you describe the podcast? Like,
it's fabulous, first of all, but
if you can find it.
If you can find it, you'll love it. But if you can't, no, I would say it's 50% Watt news and commentary, 50% Wheel of Time humor. We kind of do a nice blend of that. And since the show has launched, we've had some really fun conversations about our thoughts. And we're silly. We're the After Dark podcast. We don't hold back. So check us out.
That's for sure. After Dark for sure.
Yeah.
Our favorite guest, by the way, if you ever want to hear, like, Matt has been a guest on our podcast, and normally he is very straight-laced, but like he comes on our podcast, and my God, the things that come out of his mouth.
Let the guard down. Yeah.
It's true.
Oh my! I mean, you'd
Shocking.
be shocked. You'd be shocked.
Swearing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my! Tons of it. Just
it was like
blood and bloody ashes, and
yeah, we didn't know if we could post it.
Yeah, we honestly it got taken down. I just real quick here, Beth, for the commercial. LOL. Thank you, Beth. Make sure to check out Tarval and After Dark. Oh, here we go. Maureen's portrait.
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know. I have to go back and watch that again. I remember like thinking that I had to come back and rewatch it and decide, and then I never did. Thoughts on that? The portrait?
I think it. Like, I like the theories that people are posting about Swan, like painting it, gift from in some form or fashion.
Just a sentimental.
Some kind of something.
I want to go back.
Obviously, something connected to those two. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Here we have Phil. I think the eye color change will be the only physical change that indicates wolf mode. I think that's the reason his eyes won't stay gold as written. I think they might eventually stay gold. I think we're seeing transition. That's my opinion. Do you guys agree, disagree?
Yeah, I think that it's a transition.
So you're saying when we next see him, his eyes will be normal again, and they'll go back when he goes into the Avatar state, turn yellow again.
The Avatar state, I love that.
I mean,
Uh,
as we refer to Nynaeve in episode 4, the Avatar state. But I hadn't thought about it that way. I thought that was the moment. Although no, we see him after, and I guess his eyes have gone back, right? After,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yes.
When he's running away with Egwene. So then I guess, yeah, it would be maybe that's the only physical change. I don't really expect him to transform into a full hulkish werewolf, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
We got Simon here. Thank you, Simon. I really love that. I really love the show, but do you think they'll get more money when they make greater and bigger battles? I want the show to grow and get a little bigger, spectacular.
Mhm.
I feel pretty confident in saying yes to that. Just from conversations that I had, and just also from looking at traditionally things. Game of Thrones budget was smaller for its first season and then grew substantially in seasons after, especially for large scenes. And keep in mind too, they like a lot of their budget in this first season was like building out Jordan Studios and the sets and the things like they don't have to build the sets again, certain sets. So I think that yes, they will do bigger battles. I think that's let's just, without getting into book spoilers, as big as this world feels right now, like we're not even at a tenth of a fraction of the like size that the world gets to. And
We're not
some
even
of
a
the
king one yet.
Yeah, like the scale of some of the battles and the things, like they're going to have to, like, I can't imagine Amazon wanting to adapt this series
Right.
and not spend money. Like,
And it's on track for a first season budget as far as like hoping for it to cover its bases. We're on track, I would say.
we got Village Mattress. Thank you, Village Mattress. Thanks, Nae'Blis, for bringing the must-watch live streams to Monday nights. It was great seeing the three of them, see three of my favorite content creators all in one place tonight. Hey, thanks for joining us, guys. I mean, it's a lot of fun to do this.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of us get along pretty well, except for Matt. He's a jerk.
I'm a jerk. Like some people left chat because I was trying to brainwash them.
Well,
I was trying to brainwash people. So
honestly, I bring you on here for the brainwashing aspect of what you do. But
I feel brainwashed.
I've been trying to brainwash people since 1998. Let's be honest.
True.
So
hey,
Stephen W 1965 again. If I missed you guys mentioning this, please forgive me. I would like to hear your thought on Lan's show of respect and inclusion of the King of Gildan in the burial ceremony. Yeah, well, and there's actually something even else to that. I would say they buried everybody that died, I think. Now, they decided to only bury them about 6 inches under the ground. So, of course, animals are going to eat their bodies once they leave. But, you know, that's neither here nor there.
It's the thought that counts.
But yeah, it's the thought that counts. We couldn't be. But you'll notice Moraine bends down, and I think it was either Karene or the King of Gildan. I couldn't remember which one. But she says, "May the last embrace of the mother, carry on," which is a Shinaran saying that seemed a little out of place for Moraine to be saying because, well, I don't want to get into spoilers, but
but I liked that Moraine said that. I won't spoil anything, but I liked that Moraine was the one who said that, given the context.
On the topic of the painting, just because I want to get through these because we got to hop off here soon. Deadsy says, sometimes a painting open only when the viewer is alone and while mysterious music plays and the camera zooms in slowly and lingers on it, it's just a painting. Well put, Deadsy. So it might just be a painting.
Yeah, but also she seems I have to go back to that.
Miss Wub, do we know what the metric of success for a show is as far as Amazon is concerned and how they're doing relative to those expectations? Yes. So Amazon judges their shows in a couple ways. They monetize their content very, very differently from the other streaming services because an Amazon Prime subscription is worth far more to Amazon than a subscription to Netflix is, for instance. Because Amazon wants you in their ecosystem so that you'll buy all your stuff through Amazon. They make a lot more money off that. So what they look for is what's called first watches, meaning like, who subscribes to Amazon Prime just to get this? And then what do they watch first when they do it? The other thing that they look for is watch through rate, which means like how long do you Like when you turn the episodes on, do you immediately turn them off or do you watch them all the way through? And from at least the first 3 episodes, they had some of their highest watch through rates of all time. It was their #1 release of the year. And now it's talking about it was actually the #1 show. Like it beat out Hawkeye, which is a Marvel show on Disney Plus. So like, I think from what I have heard, they feel very good about how it's doing. And obviously now it's certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and say what you will about that, it's still hard to do. So Jojo B, Matt, harmless, man fear, already brainwashing. I think he's doing compulsion actually. Go sub to the Dusty Wheel, and you absolutely should. Everybody should be subscribed to the Dusty Wheel, because once we get to 50,000, Matt is going to do a Land Fear cosplay. Which
Taylor,
with.
Taylor and I talked about Lad Fear thing, which is 25K, and Lad Fear. The idea that he and I have for Lad Fear is pretty epic. So yeah, I mean, will we have time to do it? Who knows? But thankfully, it will be in 2022, so it won't. We'll have more time than we would have right now if it happened. But yeah, no, looking forward to that. Appreciate that. Very nice, Jojo B. Appreciate that comment. Yeah.
You should also subscribe to Wheel Talk with Recappa Sedai as well. Some of the absolute funniest, best content on YouTube.
Do it now.
Thank you.
If
we have
want,
fun,
if you want a great introduction, Lego trailers, and then my favorite video of all time on the Wheel Talk channel, A Very Aiel Christmas.
That is also my favorite. I'm still debating if we're going to have a sequel.
Well, you should set like, hey, if you get to a certain number of subscribers, you'll do another one, because
I think since the show's going on, we might have to do a Very Forsaken Valentine's Day instead, but I'm also excited for that. But Very Aiel Christmas is a good place to start. Subscribe to Wheel Talk.
So much toe.
We'll have to call a tow truck to carry you away.
Give everybody a very brief, like high-level overview of what A Very Aiel Christmas is, so they know to check this out. Like,
it's hard without spoiling, but it is Avienta, who is one of the Aiel, who probably most people listening know. She is trying to wait on Bear and Amis, who are celebrating Christmas for the first time. And Bear and Amis are having the time of their lives, torturing Avienta. And just Avienta can't do anything right. And everything she does, she has so much toe.
Go check it out. It's
A Very Aiel Christmas. Yeah, that's fun.
We have Brandon saying the painting is a ward. She's checking to see if it's been tampered with. I like that idea.
I like that.
Chris sleeping again. Do you think we'll get a show explanation for Taviran? I think we will eventually. They would not have dropped it without wanting to give us some type of explanation for it. So last thing, guys, before we go, because we've already gone 25 minutes longer than I normally do. Sorry. We are all three going to be at 2 major events next year that I think are worth pitching and talking about right now. Number 1, the soonest of these events, we're going to be at JordanCon in April, which is super exciting.
And not that far away.
We all met for the first time in person at JordanCon last year, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
But I think right now, as of right now, and I think they are planning on opening more up, but I think JordanCon might be sold out right now. And I think they're in the process of maybe opening up some more spots. But so pay attention and follow JordanCon social media so you can be there. Let me know if you're going to be at JordanCon in the chat. Say something. I know the 3 of us will be there.
I'm excited.
The other thing that the 3 of us will be at that we are a little bit more involved in is WattCon, coming up in July 8th through the 10th here in Columbus, Ohio. Matt Hatch, the Innkeeper, is going to be our MC for the event.
Looking forward to it.
A lot of fun. We have special guests Daniel Green, Michael and Kate Redding in person. It's going to be like 500 of your best Wheel of Time friends. In a very unique, I'll say this, because we have not announced all the programming yet, because it's still coming together. And there will be some other special guests, by the way, that I cannot announce yet, but they'll be coming. Or be a part of it. But we're still putting together some of the programming, but I feel like feel pretty confident in saying this, and maybe Brian, you can back this up. This will be very different of a convention of anything you've been to. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be funny, and I think it'll have something for every type of fan.
I'm so excited. I just got my pass yesterday, and which it's like feeling real now. And I'm so excited for what's been planned because I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. But a new con for a new turning, so it'll be fun.
Yay! Matt, are you excited, or are you just like, yeah, screw it?
So as MC, I got to bring it, So
Yeah.
I'll be prepping here once we get past this season. I'll be honest,
Right.
not thinking about anything else right now in the season. I'm like, I just need to get
more
through it. Like,
episodes.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I can't even. Yeah, the next 3 weeks are going to be crazy, and then it's my 25th anniversary on the 27th of December. So
Congrats.
thank you, and then obviously, Taylor is going to be getting married next year, which is crazy. And there's crazy stuff going on, but yeah, there's a lot going on. I can't wait though. Yes, you should come out. We will make it a lovely, wonderful time. And like I said, I look forward to meeting people at JordanCon and WotCon. So yeah, please. By the way, if you come to these conventions, do not leave the convention and then write me afterwards like you didn't want to come up and say hi because I was too busy or something. Like, I'm literally never too busy. Just stand if I'm talking to somebody. Just stand off. I'm there to chat, and I hope that everyone feels that way. Like, I plan to be as accessible as possible, and please come say hi. I know it's difficult. I will do my best to go over to you and say hi if you are not coming over to me and saying hi. I get it. I get the shyness and the introversion a bit, but please do come say hi. That's the whole purpose of why I want to be here, is to chat with you.
Yeah. So the opposite is true for me. If you see me, do not come talk to me. I hate you.
I'm glad you put that out
I'm
first.
totally
I was
joking.
going to say, no one had better talk to me.
I'm totally joking. Please come over and talk. Like, that's the best part of these things is meeting everybody and talking to people. And you know, I think last year what was so really cool about it was we were all like chatting online and like different Discords and all that through COVID, and then we finally got to go like see each other in person. And it was like, Matt, I feel like I know you so well, and I'm just like it was just very cool. And I think that's the exciting piece of this. The other part of WotCon that I'm really excited for is we've got content creators and super fans and people from all over the fandom, like some of the biggest podcasts, some artists, like just general fans, some of our Discord superstars, like, you know, Dana Luhu, and all of them are like gonna be there, be a part of this, and it's just a lot of fun to watch it come together. So I wanted to hit one comment here. WotCon has to come out with a virtual membership. It will. We will have a virtual membership that will come out in the new year. But I would also say this: if you can't be there, you can't be there. You know, don't do anything dumb to get there. But if you can be there in person, it's just so much fun. Like,
absolutely.
And by the way, oh no, go ahead, Brian.
No, I was gonna just, if you love Wheel of Time and haven't been to a convention yet, it's a good idea. If you're able to do it, it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun to actually hang with the people who you've been interacting with online all this time. I love doing it.
And if you can only go to one, go to the one that's closest to you. If that's JordanCon, if you're near Atlanta, go to Atlanta. You're gonna meet all of us there too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So like we wanted to make sure that we wanted to make sure that there were more opportunity, because like for me, I want to go to 2. In fact, I want to go to 4 Wheel of Time conventions. Like, they just aren't out there. And so we thought, let's do one. So
I just want to throw this out there, and don't feel like you have to agree with my thoughts on the show or characters or love Lanfear as much as I do to come chat. Like, you can hate the TV show, but if you want to come say hi, because you might disagree with me, but you're enjoying talking about the books and the TV show as a fan of just the Wheel of Time in general, like, don't let what you think might be disagreements stop you from coming and saying hi or even attending. You know, trust me, there's so many diverse opinions. Obviously, if you're there just to, you know, there's probably a line, but there's so many diverse opinions about liking or not. So don't let that stop you either. I hope you get this, which is we're all open to talking about the Wheel of Time basically all the time. So, anyway.
Yep. Well, guys, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having us. This was fun.
Pitch. Let's throw this out there for.
Yeah, please do. This is the official after show with the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. It's nuts. I get to host this thing. It's amazing. In this case, I'm interviewing Isis Musadin, who's the costume designer. She's fantastic. And also, I do a panel with Daniel Green, Critter, and Rhythma. We talk about the latest episode, and I will give you an exclusive something here, but it's just me kind of teasing you, and you might see like maybe a little peek at the special guest I have for the next episode in this episode. So be there, and I think you'll enjoy this tomorrow. I'll be in chat. Taylor will be in chat. It's just a lot of fun. 1 p.m. This is on the Amazon Prime YouTube channel, and it's really fun. It's easy to find. You go look up Amazon Prime Video on YouTube, and basically just look at the homepage. You'll see inside the Wheel of Time. It's a blast.
And the link is in the description of this video too. So I put it in there. I think it's there. If you click the link, you should be able to find that live stream for tomorrow.
That's amazing. I will be there watching. Congrats.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And by the way, Wednesday night, we're live as usual. We'll be talking about the casting announcements, the clip from 6. Thursday night, we do our after show. Friday, we might have a little something for everybody. So this week is going to be crazy.
Brian, what can they find? What can they expect from your channel?
You can expect lots of videos where I am talking about this show. Some of them with my husband who has not read the books. I have read the books. We have a fun dynamic. Check that out. Also listen to Tarvalin After Dark. You can find my YouTube channel at Wheel Talk. You can find Tarvalin After Dark when you search Tarvalin After Dark on podcasts, obviously. And yeah, just keep checking because we've got some fun stuff and I've got some things to say. We might also do some Lego adaptations of some Watt Origins pieces. We'll see. No promises, but that's on the radar. We do some fun Lego adaptations.
Well,
on
guys,
the channel.
Everybody, first of all, thank you two for coming on. Everybody, thanks for joining us. We're going to be in the Discord server voice chatting, or at least I will. I can't speak for these two after this. So if you're new to Discord, just click the link in the description and it'll like download it for you. And then you'll pop in and you'll be able to voice chat with us and hang out. There'll be a big group of us there. So we'll see you in Discord. Thanks for coming on. See y'all. Bye.
Thank you.
See y'all.